The big challenge that we face when we're trying to deal with global crises is really understanding what it means to be human. And a key piece of the answer to the question of what is humanity can be found in this really excellent book, The Social Conquest of Earth by Edward O. Wilson. So E.O. Wilson is a biologist who studied ants and social animals in general and how they form what are called superorganisms, where large numbers of ants form a colony, large numbers of bees form a hive, and then that larger structure, the hive or the colony, operates as if it's an organism itself. And so what he does in this book that's really wonderful is he explains how human social behavior came into being. Now, there's a specific technical term called eusociality, spelled EU social. Eusocial is an organism that is able to create a social structure that includes members that are not necessarily identical twins and that can have multiple social roles or economic purposes and can incorporate more than one generation within that structure. So ants work this way, bees, wasps, termites. And then the only non-insect example that has any real significance is humans. So we humans are eusocial animals. And when we think about it, we're the most social organism in the world because not only do we create complex structures, societies, in the ways that ants and bees and termites do, but we do it as mammals. And one thing that's really important to remember about mammals is that we have live birth offspring and we have really strong parent-child emotional bonds. Said differently, humans have empathy and we form strong social relationships with emotional ties. And the other social animals, meaning the other eusocial insects that have the same traits that we do in terms of superorganism, do not have this feature. So, what is it that makes humans so unique, so interesting, so important? How does our social behavior work? And what does that tell us about how we should organize our societies moving forward? Well, these things are explored in an amazing narrative in this book about how humans came to be the social animal that we are. And one of the things that I found very powerful for me was this notion of multi-level selection, which is in evolution, we already know that individual organisms, meaning two males within a community, will compete with each other for food, for sexual partners, and so on. And that's called individual selection. At the same time, there's what's called group selection, which is when there's one group competing with another group, that one group may have advantageous properties and win over the other one. For a long time in evolutionary theory, there was a big question whether it was group or individual, and it turns out that it's both. And the combination of more than one level of selection is what's called multi-level selection. So it turns out that human beings have very strong competitive hierarchy tendencies as individuals. So we strive for status and wealth. We compare ourselves with our peers and try to do better. And so there's a bit of competition within our groups. But at the same time, we compete as groups and we naturally form groups. So we like to form into tribes. Those tribes can be based on sports and the type of fan that we are, or religions, or national identities, or hobbies that we have, or many other things. We're very, very good at forming groups. So this book explains all of the parts of our history, all of the ways that our social nature came into being, which has profound and concrete insight into what it means to really be human, with implications for how we should build our societies so that they support our pro-social cooperative nature and help us to achieve things that are good for us as a superorganism, or in other words, as a global civilization in the 21st century. So if you want to understand more about human social nature, where it comes from, how it works, and the fascinating story of our evolutionary history, then pick up this book, The Social Conquest of Earth, and you will not be disappointed.